Welcome to Southern Orthopedic PrepZone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon.
Hey guys, James Phillips here. This is DME PrepZone Game Time. I'm with Johnathan Bentley and Brian Hale as always, and this week our game of the week is the Jasper Vikings traveling to Mortimer Jordan to play the Blue Devils over in Kimberly. I got that wrong in the story this week. I said Morris. But, you know, that's like Summerton and Dora. They're in the same spot. Should be a really good game. Both teams 1-6, so we don't focus on 1-6 teams very often. But both of these teams were in the third round of the playoffs 2 years ago, played each other. Both of them in the last couple of years have beaten the Class 5A state champion, and now they see themselves in 6A sitting with one win apiece. That's kind of odd.
Yeah, different beast for sure this year, but Brian and I were at the game where Mortimer Jordan won. It was early. It was kind of like Jasper. They both won a game early out of region, and they're both winless in the region so far.
Right. Mortimer Jordan's only win against Corner, and then Jasper's only win against Mars Hill. Corners has gone on to have a pretty good season. Mars Hill's gone on. They're undefeated since that loss to Jasper.
Yeah, they're ranked number 2 in 2A this year.
Right, yeah, and have beaten Coleman.
Yeah, that was a big upset.
Yeah, that's
held
a big
them to
win.
6 points.
Brian, you were able to sit down this week with one of Jasper's, definitely one of their best players. He's got some different college offers. He's a standout wrestler, great offensive, defensive lineman, Brodie Vincent. How impressed were you by Brodie?
Well, over the past couple of years, I've interviewed, talked with Brodie a lot. He's definitely one of the most fascinating young men that you'll ever meet. His future is boundless, and to consider that he's an excellent defensive tackle, defensive lineman. He is the state runner-up championship wrestler, and on top of that, an offer from Harvard, all wrapped up in one. It's a very unique and special young man.
Right. When you mentioned Harvard, he is an absolute brilliant student. Has made over 30 on his ACT, and then also performs on the field and on the, I guess you say, on the mat for wrestling.
Yeah, the C+ gang doesn't get offers from Harvard.
Well, I mean, I wasn't.
I've been to Harvard.
Have you?
I have.
Well, I mean, that's better than me and Brian. They wouldn't let us on the campus.
No.
Okay, Brian. So you sat down with Brodie. Let's see what Brodie Vincent has to say about himself in his own words.
On the gridiron, senior Brodie Vincent is a DME PrepZone first-team selection at defensive tackle, where his size, athleticism, strength, and experience allow him to disrupt offensive plays and take down ball carriers. Just one of the few seniors on the 2020 squad, Vincent is also looked at by his coaching staff for leadership to help guide the younger players around him.
Really playing with effort is everything. You know, no matter how talented someone may be, hard work always beats it. Playing with effort, playing tough, it will always overcome the talent on other teams or on your own team. It's really just, play through adversity. This whole year has been, adverse. It's been crazy with, COVID and us not having a spring training to, we're coming back, we're all split up, we're all in masks. So it's really just, you got to deal with the challenges in life, and you got to overcome it. You got to find a way to just do it.
As football season comes to an end, Vincent ventures into wrestling, another sport he has had outstanding success in. A multi-time state tournament qualifier, he reached the pinnacle of success last season by advancing to the 285 pounds championship match. An injury suffered in a prior match during the tournament followed Vincent into the championship final. Nevertheless, Vincent saw the adversity present in the match and afterward during his recovery as both a learning experience and motivation.
Really, it's just, when something bad happens, you just have to overcome it. Yeah, it was really unfortunate, and I struggle with it. It was tough. Even the recovery process of it was tough for me. And it just really just goes back to just having to overcome adversity through everything. Like I said, this entire year has just been crazy, and it's just there's always going to be challenges in life after high school, after sports, and you still have to find a way to overcome those. So I just take it all as a teaching point.
His flawless academic record, together with his football acumen, has resulted in a landmark opportunity few individuals have dreamed possible: a football scholarship to play for Harvard University, acclaimed as one of the top schools in the world. The scholarship offer from Harvard continues to shock Vincent, who considers it to be a great blessing.
Really, I was really in awe. The school that first started recruiting me, Davidson, they're a top tier educational college as well. So I always knew that I had the ability to play at an institution like that. But once Harvard contacted me, it was more like shocking and just awe of it. Like, wow, this is like the best institution in the country, and they're interested in me coming and playing football for them. So it's just like a shock factor thing, really. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy to think about. It's really a blessing.
Vincent has many treasured memories as a member of the Vikings program, but it's the friendships and bonds he's formed throughout the years that stay strongest in his mind in his final few games.
Just not even the wins and even the losses. It's just the bonds you build with the guys around you. Coming in here every day, they're like family to you because you're around them 24/7. About 30 hours a week. We're up here, and it's just it's just the type of bonds that you build with people that otherwise you might not even talk to. And even, with underclassmen and stuff like that, like it almost becomes like a big brother, little brother thing. Like, some Michael Woods, when he was playing here, me and him, we developed a great bond, and, I still look up to him. He's like a brother to me, and it's just the brotherhood that comes with it, the bonds that you build, and just being here with the guys. Really, everybody's just the guys.
Welcome in, everybody. James Phillips here. It's a late night at the Desert Mountain Eagle studio. Brian, Hale, how's it going, man? And comes out with a 1-point double overtime win, 35-34. The Vikings remain undefeated.
One of the assistants told me I think they're 5 points away from being 4-1.
Corner just completely turned, bro. And they came out in the second half. They scored 20 points on 5 plays.
Cordova makes the playoffs. Who would have thought in week 5 that we would have said the Cordova Blue Devils are going to reel off 4 straight wins and clinch a playoff berth?
Well, I just think the first half was really, Hale got after. I mean, they were playing with a little bit more effort and toughness, and
just glad to catch it. It was a good throw. Won the game.
Welcome back. You heard from Brodie Vincent there, man. Outstanding student athlete here in Jasper. We're going to segue a little bit away from Jasper for a few moments to talk about our player of the week. Johnathan, since Brian did the interview with him, I'll first ask you. You've seen Addison some. What's your thoughts on Christian Roberts and how he's propelled their program so far this year?
He makes the team go. Addison always has 3 or 4 guys like that, and there's always a leader, and that's him again. I mean, they did it last year. But 10 touchdowns in 2 games, you just don't see that very often.
Right.
Yeah. And, I saw them against Winston County. He can also grind it. He'll put up big numbers, or he can just lead you up and down the field.
Right.
That's why Addison's so good.
Yeah. Brian, I know you've been impressed with Christian for a couple seasons now. Mm-hmm. What was most impressive about him when you actually went and had a conversation with him?
Well, first and foremost, his just natural leadership ability really stands out when he's talking. He's very, very, very quick to share the wealth with his teammates and understands that. And additionally, he understands that his team is in a position where they control their own destiny, and they're looking forward to every opportunity that they get.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from our player of the week this week, Christian Roberts.
He rushed.
20 times for 203 yards. He was 2 of 6 passing for 50 yards. He had 4 total touchdowns and a big victory over Lamar County. Now, the previous week, he scored 6 total touchdowns. So in the past 2 weeks, 10 total touchdowns. Our player of the week, Addison's Christian Roberts. Christian, what an absolutely marvelous performance. Come from behind. How were you and your teammates after the game? Was there a lot of celebration?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we were all super excited about it. I know when we came in at halftime, we were all kind of, we were kind of down a little bit, but then we came back and, God did the rest, and we just trusted Him, and it worked out however it worked out, I'm just really proud of everyone here, and so I'm proud of the performance that we did, and I thought it was good.
From a cohesion standpoint, it's got to be on pace to be able to come back from a deficit like that. Your offensive line, your wide receivers, and also the backs that are out there blocking as well. Those guys have got to be on tap for you. What do those guys mean to you in their effort every single week?
Absolutely amazing. I couldn't do it without them. And, we really run it up the middle. We're known for running up the middle. And then when we can run it down the outside and get receivers blocking and linemen pulling outside and just fast, it works everything out. So.
Well, Christian, of course, you guys have a non-region game against Hamilton this week. But then you got one more game left. All the possibilities are endless for you guys to be back here hosting a playoff game. What would it mean to start the playoffs versus on the road back here at home?
Oh, it would mean a lot. I don't really want to travel anywhere. So, getting home advantage, packing it out with our fans because our fans are one of the best around. And it just feel amazing to, So we just need to win out the rest of these games and we'll be back here. So that's what I want to do.
Southern Orthopedic Prep Zone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon. Presented by Kilgore Green Funeral Home, Nelson, Bryan and Cross, Bank of Walker County, Jasper Main Street, Southern Orthopedic, and Carl Cannon.
All right, we're back. James Phillips, Johnathan Bentley, and Brian Hale, and we're talking Jasper this week. Jasper going to Mortimer Jordan. Rare that we do a road game, but I think, with the other games that we had, we'll go over those in a little bit when we do our picks. There really wasn't a lot of standout games this week. So going to Mortimer Jordan is probably a good time to get there, right?
Yeah, we've got 2 teams out with forfeits.
That's true.
A lot of teams are on the road this week, so it was kind of just what are we going to do, and we thought that this would be a great one.
Yeah, good time to highlight the Vikings from right across the street. Coach Bailey, this is his first season with Jasper, and it has been just a whirlwind from everything of COVID coming up, and they had a flood on Easter, and then kids getting hurt, moving up into the craziest region in the state. How would that affect? That's got to affect anybody, right?
Yeah, unless you're in Coleman's region, then you're happy.
You're right.
Then you see this gauntlet. To open the season, we didn't know how they do, and it's just got, the injury in the Coleman game to Rosenfeld, and it just they never got it back. They never really clicked this year.
Right.
Maybe the first game.
Right.
But this is a chance to, end on a high note, at least.
But I think even with everything, even if you took everything away that has happened negative, we probably said at the beginning of the season, if Jasper wins 5 games, that's a Coach of the Year candidate.
Oh, yeah, it would have been a miracle, yeah. And especially, once the Coleman game took place and Spencer went down with injury, it was just at a point where you're kind of like, 5 games, they're going to be good to win probably 3 at this point.
Right. Well, and Coach Bailey is somebody who has never lost throughout his playing career, coaching career. He's never had a season like this, and so I wanted to sit down with him, take this opportunity to get his thoughts on how he's turning this into a learning process for not only his players but also for himself and for his coaching staff. And so let's go now and hear what Coach Bailey has to say about this year and how it's been a transition, but also a learning year, and how the players are keeping their heads up despite a 1-6 record.
The Jasper Vikings have lost 6 straight games in the same season for the first time since 1994. That is a fact that is not lost on first-year head coach Philip Bailey as he prepares his team to face off tonight with Mortimer Jordan, another team not accustomed to losing seasons in recent years. These two teams battled in 2018 in the third round of the Class 5A playoffs, but they are both 1-6 overall in their first season in Class 6A.
Because it is tough right now, man. You know, I mean, being, 1-6 and losing 6 in a row. I've never been a part of anything like this, and I don't think any of our coaches have, and I'm sure that our kids haven't, been a part of this. But it makes you step back, and it makes you reevaluate really everything that you do and why you do what you do, why you really do this. Because it'll really affect how you feel. And that's a tough thing, man, because when you're a coach and so much of your identity is connected to what you do. And this is such a results-based business. And I've been fortunate in my life to be a part of programs that have won a lot. I got 3 conference championship rings in my house and been a part of a lot of things and coached All-Americans and coached all-conference players and won region championships. And then you're sitting here being 1-6.
Months before the season started, this Jasper squad started dealing with adversity. The former head coach left the program after the classification alignments were announced. Bailey, who had been the offensive coordinator for 2 seasons, was named the new head coach in late January, accepting the challenge of the tougher schedule.
Like you said, for the past 2 years, being 5A, and we had a ton of success, in that region, and went 22-3. And we knew this step up. We knew this region wasn't going to be no joke. We knew that. And even talking to other coaches in this region, guys that have been at 6A schools for a while, when they saw the reclass come out, they're like, "Is this real life?" It's tough for everybody, man. So it's a step up. And
not long after taking over the program, Bailey said COVID-19 shut everything down. The unknown that came with the virus played as much of a toll on the coaches and the players as anything.
None of us really knew what all that would entail. We thought it was going to be 2 weeks and then we'd be back in school. None of us had ever encountered anything like this. And to be out of school for the rest of the semester, to not be able to see your kids for about 3 months, to lose spring ball. We had no spring training, and we got a ton. This is a really young team. We have like 9 new starters on offense, and about the same number on defense. I think there's like 17 new starters on this team. And to not have spring ball, that was tough, man. A lot of changes. Had a few new coaches, got a new offensive coordinator in. So him not having that spring period was tough. And just being away from our kids for that time was difficult, man. And then we finally get them back in June. That's when we had all the social distancing, limited numbers in groups, all that kind of stuff. We had no more than 12 in any group in the weight room. We're working them out in 3 different weight rooms, small groups on the field. Didn't get to do any kind of summer competition stuff against any different team. So you didn't really have any kind of measuring stick to know where you were at, I knew that we were getting better, going against each other, but I didn't know where we matched up with anybody else. That was a big unknown.
A flood on Easter caused damage to the team's field house, as well as destroying everything from brand new cleats for the players to electronic equipment for the film crew. The team also had an exodus of several players who would have been returning starters.
We had some guys who were a part of this program and made a decision that they wanted to go somewhere else. It is what it is, man. But I tell you this, I'm thankful for the kids that stuck in here with us and are fighting this thing out.
Bailey said the lessons learned from this season will have lifelong effect on the players, the coaches, and himself.
Losing will affect you in ways that it probably shouldn't, to be honest with you. It'll affect the way you move in this world, man. It'll affect the way you treat your family. It affects a lot of things, and it's tough. But there is a lot of lessons to be learned, man, because it makes you step back. It makes you reevaluate why you do what you do. Because at the end of the day, man, those championship rings and all that stuff will fade with time, man. Those are things, and they'll fade. And at the end of the day, what you take away from this game is the relationships that you build with your coaches and with your players, because that's what's going to last, man. This will always be about winning and losing. This is a results business. It will always be about that. But there's so much more beyond that. Not aside from winning and losing, but beyond that. Because at the end of the day, man, all these guys, they're going to be husbands and they're going to be fathers. And yeah, this year is tough. There's no doubt. This is a challenge that we're all walking through. But being a husband is challenging. Being a father is tough. And the lessons that they're learning now are going to benefit them down the road.
Bailey said the support of the community throughout this season has been overwhelming.
The community does mean a lot to me, man, and I'll be transparent with you about that. You know, I coached college football for 7 years, and I made a decision 7 years ago about what I wanted to be in this world, and I could have kept living that life and bounced around and took this job and took that job and moved my family over here every 2 or 3 years, moved my family over here every 2 or 3 years, and yanking my kids in and out of school systems and chasing that deal down. But I decided that I wanted to be a husband and that I wanted to be a father, and living your life that way can take a toll on your family. Because at the end of the day, at the end of my life, if I look back and they say that I didn't go with that, but I get one shot to be a daddy to my boys, and I'm not going to screw that up. I'm not going to screw that part up. So, like I said, man, I made a decision that this is what I wanted to do, that I wanted to find a place, a good community to raise my kids and put down some roots, man, and stick in there through the up years and the down years. And there'll be better days ahead now. I mean, we're talking about, you know, it's tough right now, and it is tough right now. But I promise you there'll be better days ahead for Jasper football. And these guys are laying a foundation for something that's going to be really special around here.
All right, we're back. You heard from Coach Bailey there. Guys, I really commend him for the attitude that he's had throughout this. And he loves this team and loves his players. And I think these guys know that, and I think the team knows that they're building to something in the future.
I think it really meant something when he stayed.
Right.
You know, he could have went somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, the community, though, kind of reeled him in, and now he's part of it, and he loves it, and he loves these kids. Maybe they'll get something, the younger kids, from this season.
Right.
Because you learn something about yourself when you go through these.
Right. Well, and even the older kids, I think they'll get something. And like he said in his interview, life doesn't get any easier after high school. You know, you get married or you get a job, and bad things happen on a daily basis, and you got to know how to bounce back from those things.
Yeah, 2020 is a good teacher of all that stuff.
Right, for
now.
all of us, right?
Yeah, I really like Coach Bailey. Not only fact, we like to joke around, and I have a good time with him, but you know, you could just see the positive effect that he has on the guys, not just on the football field, but off of it. And you know, I think as the time progresses and Coach Bailey's able to implement what he wants to do at Jasper, I think it's going to pay off huge dividends.
Right, I think so too. I agree with you 100%. Okay, now guys, we go into the picks. This is what everybody wants to see anyway, right?
Maybe.
Probably not, but we're going to give it to them anyway. First game of the week, let's say Pickens County 5-2 at Meek 1-6. Meek picked up a win last week, and that's fantastic. But now they're playing Pickens County.
Yeah. I think we can go Pickens on that one.
Pickens County, all in.
Yeah.
Okay. Lynn 2-5 at South Lamar 1-6. Lynn fell to Meek last week, which was an upset loss. South Lamar is only 1-6, but I went with South Lamar.
I did too. It's on the road. You know, Lynn, that was a tough loss last week. I wonder how they bounce back from that.
Well, and they've really struggled this year with any kind of continuity. It's like one week we see a good Lynn team, the next week they're really bad and just kind of up and down.
Yeah, and also I look at it like this. South Lamar beat me a few weeks ago, like 30-17. And from what we understand, South Lamar was really holding everything back at that point. So I've got to just think, with Lynn dealing with personnel issues and a lot of other stuff, I got to think it's going to be South Lamar. Plus, it's at South Lamar Untitled.
That's true. Now, here's a road game that I probably picked it the wrong way. Addison 5-3 at Hamilton 3-5. Who'd you go with?
I picked Hamilton, just a bigger school.
They're 4A school.
Know, and I wonder, Addison, you know, they're getting ready for the playoffs. How much do they want? They don't want anybody hurt in a game like this.
That's true.
And it's at Hamilton. It's the main factor.
Right. Hale, I know, like Jonathan said, it's at Hamilton. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, and Coach Bailey's waiting for this because Coach Bailey always knows when I do it. But it's almost a known factor in the north-central, northwestern part of Alabama. If you're playing at Hamilton, you're also playing the refs.
Right.
Only way Addison gets through this is if they go up 28-0 and instantly just take the refs out of the game. Otherwise, Addison makes a big play, the flags are going to come out.
Right.
Hey, if this was being played across the street, or if this was being played at Addison, neutral or anything else, or if it was a playoff game where you had to, it'd be different. But
Right.
as long as it's at Hamilton, they're not going to let Hamilton lose.
Well, I agree with you. I think when you go to Hamilton, you're already down at least 14 points. But I think Addison's going to win this game in the neighborhood of 21-14. So maybe they'll pull out the win. I'm going with Addison.
I think Jonathan and I talked about this yesterday. This is one instance that we hope that we were completely wrong in a pick, because nothing would satisfy me more.
Oh, yeah, to see a little, I was going to say a little 2A school, but Addison's not your typical 2A. But to have a 2A school go into a 4A, and especially it be into Hamilton and pick up a win, I'm sure all of us would revel in that.
Yes, I'll happily take that loss.
Okay, Cold Springs 4-3 at Winston County 5-2. You look at the records, you think this might be close, but looking over who the two teams have played and how they've won, I really feel like Winston County may walk away with this one.
Yeah, Cold Springs got off to a great start this year, and now they've lost 3 or 4 in a row, and they get to contend with Owens, Austin Owens.
Right. I don't think they're stopping Owens.
No, they're not going to stop Owens. And I think also home field advantage is going to have a substantial thing on it. But I still see this being like a 7 to 10 point win for Winston County.
Right. This should be one that we probably should go all in on. I'm sure we're probably all going to pick the same team, but we need to talk about it because I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Leeds 7-1 at Corner 4-3. Leeds is 7-1, but they played some really close games. And even if you look at some of their common opponents, Corner beat a couple teams worse than Leeds did. Corner's on a roll after beating Dora. They're 4-3 now. Corner needs this one for playoffs. What do you think?
That's a tough call. Leeds was really down last year, and of course, Corner gets in their region, and now they're back to being Leeds.
Right.
They're not ranked or anything, but they should be. I mean, 7-1, and Corner, boy, they pull out the. If it comes down to the wire, they'll win it.
Yeah,
they win at the last second.
Cardiac kids for sure. Did you go Corner? Or did you go Leeds?
No, I went Leeds. Yeah.
Yeah, I went Leeds also, but I'm like you. I think it's going to be a lot closer. It could end up being a touchdown game.
Yeah, and it's at Corner, so that really does help the Yellow Jackets there. But I'm going Leeds as well, but hopefully Corner pulls off that upset. Summerton Christian 4-3 at Coosa Christian 2-5. Another pretty good road trip for Summerton Christian, but I think they've really turned the corner. And I feel like they'll pick up a big win with this one.
Yeah, this is their last road trip to Gadsden, which is kind of close for them.
Yeah, it is close compared to Moso.
The Coosa Christian, I mean, they got their 2 wins. They were 0-10 last year. This is a good year for them.
Right.
But Summerton Christian should absolutely roll in this one.
Yeah, and Summerton Christian handled Appalachian last week pretty easily. Well, Appalachian beat Coosa Christian a few weeks ago, 50-16. So, I'm thinking that this is going to be pretty much a coaster for Summerton Christian.
Well, here's one I wish we could pick. It's Dora 5-2 at Good Hope 7-1, but we're not going to be picking that one because Dora's not playing for the next 2 weeks due to some COVID concerns. And I really hate that for Dora. It seemed like they had turned a corner and were playing pretty well. But they locked up a playoff spot, and they'll rest for a couple weeks.
The shame is they still had a shot at the region title.
Right, yeah.
And now they're 4th, and they probably get to go to Madison Academy.
Right.
Which is ranked number 2 in the state.
Yeah.
That's the shame.
Yeah.
If they could have just pulled out one of these next 2 games, which they got a forfeit, I mean, they would be in a better spot.
Right, yeah. Having to go to Madison Academy is going to be a tough draw there in the first round. But, we've seen Madison Academy before. And,
it's on last year.
Yeah, they're beatable, All right, let's move to Parker, 2-5 at Cordova, 1-6. I think even though it's at home for Cordova, I'm going Parker in this one.
I went Parker as well, but this is going to be close. And I know they've had close calls, Winona.
John Carroll.
I always forget, John Carroll. If they could just pull one out, maybe they can get over the hump.
Right.
They need something like this going into next year.
Yeah, Cordova really needs something good to happen.
I think it's going to happen this week.
Really?
This is one of the few that we've diverged from this week. But I actually think that Cordova, it's going to be close, but Cordova manages to edge this one out. So I'm going Cordova this week.
They may send you a nice care package or something if they pull off the win.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah. Send that to the Deadly Mountain Eagle, Brian Hale. Right. Okay.
Care of the Prep Zone.
Care of the Prep Zone. All right, before we get to our game of the week, we got one more. It's Oakman 5-2 at Vinemont 4-3. This is not your grandma's Vinemont team or your mom's Vinemont team or even your older sister's Vinemont team. This is a new Vinemont 4-3. but I feel like Oakman's going to handle this one. Like Oakman really seems to have things pushed straight forward to the playoffs and in the right direction.
Yeah, this is a big game. They got to have it, pretty much.
Yeah.
If they lock up second with it, since they have a forfeit coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But Vinemont, I mean, you saw what they did to Carbon Hill, but this Oakman is not Carbon Hill.
Right.
Oakman has a lot of horses, and they're going to run, and they should beat Vinemont if they play right.
Right. I'm going to say the truest statement that we have said today is Oakman is not Carbon Hill.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you say, Brian?
Oakman, just too many weapons.
Right.
Even if Vinemont manages to overpower the Oakman defense, which I don't think will happen, in a scoring shootout, I just simply see that Oakman's just got way too many options.
Right, that's right. I agree with you. Now, we should mention also Carbon Hill's not playing this week. They get a forfeit win over Tarrant. And Curry is also not playing. This is their second week of their COVID quarantine.
Forfeit loss to Haleyville.
Right, so forfeit loss to them. And Dora takes that forfeit loss. Before we talk about the Jasper game, though, I had a chance to talk to Coach Bailey earlier in the week on his Coach Bailey show, which you all should watch as well on the Daily Mountain Eagle YouTube channel. Let's go to him and see what he had to say about playing Mortimer Jordan this week.
It's a program that's similar to us. They got a good team. They're a good football team. We're going to have to go play well to win the game. They got a quarterback that operates their offense well. They got a receiver, number one. He's really good. He's one of the better ones we've seen all year. They got a back that can carry the ball. He's very capable running back. Defensively, nose guard is a big boy, 74. He's probably about a 330-pounder in there. Inside linebackers are decent size, run, tackle the ball well. They pursue the ball well on defense, get off blocks. I mean, they do all the things that good football teams do. So it's kind of the spot that we're in, I guess, playing. We're 1-6, playing a team that's 1-6, and this is still a very good football team.
And we're back. You heard Coach Bailey there. This is going to be a slugfest, I think. I don't think the points are going to be extremely high. If I was betting on the game, I'd go with the under for sure.
Well, you've got to write that up, so that's a good thing.
Right, yeah. It shouldn't take me long because I really think this is going to be one of those old-fashioned, and both teams are going to want it because they know this is a winnable game. Jonathan, what you think? Where do we go, Jasper or Mortimer Jordan?
I went Jasper. This is not your grandma's Mortimer Jordan team. Or maybe it is.
I think Mortimer
Jordan had many down years where they were, them and Curry would always battle.
Right, yeah.
Then they've seen a surge with the old Dora coach, Good.
Coach Good is doing a tremendous
unbelievable.
job.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But now this year they've just kind of, I think they're a lot like Jasper.
It's very similar.
They're moving up. They're just going through struggles they hadn't had before, and this is going to be close. I mean, if Jasper's going to win, which I picked, it's got to be close. Mm-hmm. They can't. They've had trouble scoring. Maybe they can get 14, 21 might be enough to win it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and they do have their quarterback Rosenfeld back. I've heard this week there's been a couple other players injured though, so I don't know if they'll be healthy enough for the game. Brian, what's your thoughts?
Well, I've actually seen Mortimer Jordan this year in that win over Corner, and believe it or not, guys, I don't think necessarily that Mortimer Jordan played for a win. I think Corner played themselves out of a little
both of you guys said after that game that Corner really should have won it.
Yeah, they should have. It was turnovers, penalties, and execution. And the turnovers is what actually Mortimer Jordan capitalized on. So if you didn't have the turnovers on this, I think Corner would have won that game. I just was not impressed. This was not the typical Mortimer Jordan team that we have been used to seeing the past couple of years. And because of that, I think that Jasper, being at home, they want this one, and I think they're going to want it more than Mortimer Jordan.
Right. Well, hey, you go with Jasper. I really almost picked Mortimer Jordan in this game. I even talking to Coach Bailey yesterday, told him I almost went Mortimer Jordan just so he could go, look, James don't even believe in you, I'm getting to the point though. Like I even asked my own son last week, should I pick you guys or should I pick Jackson Olin? He said, "Oh, pick us. We're and then they lose 35-7. But I really do think, like y'all said, both of these teams are very similar, and the Corner game is what really sealed it for me. I feel like Jasper, even with the backup quarterbacks, a couple touchdowns better than Corner.
Oh, yeah.
And with them, should have actually beat Mortimer Jordan. I think this is a Jasper win. Maybe they can win this one. Next week they've got Pinson Valley, which is going to be a more than tough task. But then they're going to close out with Bessemer City, who have barely scored this year. So it's a chance to win 2 out of 3. And if you're going to do that, you got to knock off Mortimer Jordan. I'm going with the Vikings.
I think that'll be 2 out of 3 would be great.
Oh yeah, it'd be a great way
for
to
Bailey
end
and these kids.
Just everybody end on a positive note, you know, and that's definitely what they need after the season that we've seen. Any parting thoughts here before we go?
Going to be an interesting college football weekend.
Well, yes. I think we should definitely say that our prayers are out with Coach Saban and anybody else that's dealing with COVID. I would like to mention that Barbara Haynes, who works for us, when I came in before we shot this is on, we're on Thursday here. She has a little shrine to Coach Saban set up at her desk, and I feel like all she has done since she got here this morning was pray towards that shrine for his health. So if anybody's pulling you through, Coach Saban, Barbara Haynes is doing it. She's probably already got you a get well card in the mail. So
would you change your pick knowing this? No.
You know, I feel like it's just preparations there. It's team versus team. Luckily, Alabama has a few former head coaches on the staff, and Steve Sarkisian has proven that he could be a good head coach in the past. I think he'll handle it, and I feel like Alabama's still going to win the game.
Yeah, me too. I think they're going to rise up for this.
Yeah. Let's do it for Saban, right?
I don't think it affects the college and the pro ranks like it does high school.
Right.
When you lose a coach, it's a lot different in high school than it is in the college ranks. And it's like you said, Sark has, head coaching experience before. Coordinators know what they're supposed to do.
Right.
So I don't think it's going to change things that much.
Now, did I hear correctly? The defense coordinator had COVID as well.
I've not heard that.
Somebody had told
Greg
me that
Byrne.
too.
That's all I know.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I was wrong, but we'll see. I think Alabama pulls it out though.
Yeah.
What about Auburn? Do they have anybody this week?
Unfortunately, their coach is there.
That's right. Yeah. At least through this game, he may not be if he loses to South Carolina, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be in for a long season if they lose this one,
Yeah.
which could happen.
Yeah. I mean, South Carolina hasn't looked bad. Even in their losses, they haven't looked terrible. So it could be. I think it'll be a close game with Auburn and South Carolina.
Yeah, I would think so as well. Of course, I mean, if the Auburn Nation gets one more step closer to getting somebody out of there, I think they'll kind of be happy to take the loss.
Or if they get a 30-point win over a South Carolina team that's not very good, Auburn will give him a raise and about 3 more years on his contract.
Right.
That's what you guys do.
Let's just let this thing wear out. Let's still got years left.
Okay.
About halfway through this thing.
Oh, and me and Jeffrey at Winborn's Hate Week has been canceled with Florida and LSU.
That's right. Yeah. So LSU and Florida, they'll have to put that off, and y'all can buy alcohol another weekend.
Yeah.
To celebrate whichever team loses. Okay, well that's it then for this week. Until we see you Friday night at the various games across our area, and be sure to watch me and Brian Hale on Saturday morning with our PrepZone wrap-up show, where we'll give you all the happenings that happen on Friday night. Until then, I'm James Phillips for Brian Hale and Johnathan Bentley. We'll see you later.